Manute Bol was one of the tallest players in the history of the NBA, but that's not the only cool thing about the pro basketball player. He was a political activist back in Africa and spent a major portion of his childhood tending cattle in Sudan. Anyway, in this video, we're going to share some of the most interesting facts about this Sudanese basketball Hall of Famer. Let's get right into it. First up, at number 10, Manute Bol comes from a wealthy family. Manute Bol is a descendant of both Dinka and the Nilotic nobility, and he was born in Tourale, Sudan, to Manute and Okwak Bol. His father was a Dinka tribal elder and was very well respected in society, while Manute's great-great-grandfather, Bol Nayol, was actually the chief of the Tui Dinka of northwest Sudan. In fact, even his grandfather became a wealthy chief who had about 40 wives and 80 children. Bol's father was actually the first in his family who didn't inherit the same. Anyway, the family name Bol comes from a lineage of very, very tall men and women. His mother was 81 whole inches tall, while his father was 79, the exact same height as his sister. The Dinka ethnic group actually comes from the Nilotic people, who are some of the tallest people in the whole world. Next up at number 9, Manute Bol was one of the tallest players in the history of the National Basketball Association. The Dinkas might be among the tallest people in the whole world, but even then, Manute Bol was on a whole other level. At 7 feet 7 inches tall, Manute easily towered over almost everyone in the league and drew stares everywhere he went. And while it's pretty cool to stand out, Bol had to learn how to handle all the attention at first. After all, he had only just learned to speak English and block the shots of his opponents on the basketball court. Anyway, the answer to why Manute is so tall can definitely be traced all the way back to his genes, which are the genes of his ethnic group, the Dinka and Nilotic people. They're some of the tallest populations in the entire world. In fact, Bol's native Tourale breeds exceptionally tall people, including the 7'4" tall basketball player Ring Ayuel. He once said that he grew up in a village where you cannot measure yourself, and that only after he had grown all the way in 1979, he learned that he was 7'7". He was about 18 or 19 years old at the time. Coming up at number 8, Manute Bol was the only player in the NBA to have killed a lion with a spear. Manute Bol was a native of Sudan and a member of the Dinka tribe, but he eventually left his troubled homeland to play basketball in the United States. He ended up being a major source of support for all of his family members who were left stranded in the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. But let's go back to his early life and talk about that for a moment. Manute Bol actually had an early education that focused more on the practical side, particularly the care and sale of cows. In fact, Bol never learned how to read or even write in his native tongue. Instead, he was educated in each and every aspect of animal husbandry in order to ensure the health of his cows. One of Bol's favorite stories to share during his interviews is that one time he needed to protect his cows from the lions that preyed on them, so he crafted a spear all by himself so that he could kill that lion in his sleep before it could go after his herd of cows. Following up on number 7, let's talk about the dowry Manute Bol gave for his first wife. At this point, it's pretty established that cows were very sacred to Manute Bol's homeland, so it's not a surprise that when Bol decided to get married to his first wife, Etong Bol, he paid 80 cows in dowry for the Dinka woman. Manute and Etong Bol had 6 children together. Manute also had 4 children with his second wife, Ajok. Moving on to number 6, Manute Bol was a young rebel in Sudan. As a descendant of a chief, Manute Bol enjoyed a lot of privileges growing up, but the young Sudanese boy preferred to rebel against a lot of the Dinka customs too, especially those related to the manhood rights that all teenage boys of the tribe had to go through. In case you didn't know already, some of these customs included ritual scarring of a man's face, or even worse, the removal of 6 whole teeth. So it's not that surprising, knowing that Bol preferred to run in the other direction when the time came for his turn for the tradition. Now for number 5, the meaning behind Manute's name. Manute's father, a Dinka tribal elder, was the one who gave him his name. Clearly, his son was special to him because Manute means special blessing. In fact, Bol shared that he was given that name in particular because before him, his mother had miscarried twins. And while he never got an actual and proper certificate to document the fact, Bol said that he was born on the 16th of October 1963 near the Dinka village of Tourale. Up next at number 4, he was forced to drink milk. While Manute was definitely a rebel in his tribe, that didn't mean he could run away from every custom the Dinkas performed, even if he didn't like it. Another story that Manute once shared was that as a teenager, his culture demanded that for 4 whole months, Bol and his peers had to do nothing but sit down and drink milk. In an interview with the Philadelphia Inquirer, the basketball player shared that from May to around August or September, you're not doing anything. You're just sitting there drinking milk. He summed up the experience best in his own words. You just just sit there and sleep and drink milk. In fact, Bol claims that he can now easily drink 3 gallons of milk in one day, and because of this, some people in the milk camps weigh almost 400 pounds. Now, the weight that Bol gained at milk camp was almost just as quickly lost again, and while he kept on growing taller and taller throughout the years, he remained as lean as a stick the whole time. By the way, in case you're wondering what the point of this whole milk camp was, it was to figure out which young man could gain the most weight over 4 months. Coming up at number 3, on the basketball court, he had never quite equaled his peers. Now, although Manute Bol definitely increased strength-wise and his overall poise over the years, he was still working at a huge disadvantage. Bol began playing basketball pretty late in life, and because of that, he never really developed much instinctive reaction to the game's flow. Not only that, but Bol was also hampered by his 3 clawed fingers on his right hand, a birth defect. Still, despite the disadvantages, the Sudanese-American persevered, and his amazing height and unrelenting determination made him a force in the NBA. The athlete first played for the Bullets, then moved on to the Golden State Warriors, before finally playing for the Philadelphia 76ers. Following up at number 2, Bol was a humanitarian. Even though Bol ran away from some aspects or rights of his culture, he was still incredibly proud of his heritage and remained a humanitarian in his native country. In fact, Manute Bol donated all of his money to Sudan, and then, when he got into that horrible car accident back in 2004, where he broke his neck after being ejected from a taxi that hit a guardrail, he was in financial ruin because he had no health insurance to support himself. Bol is proudest of establishing the Ring True Foundation, which aims to do fundraising for Sudanese refugees. In fact, he gave most of his earnings, which by the way, is an estimated $3.5 million to their cause. There are a lot of other stories to share about Bol, but one of the best is definitely when he was involved in the Sudan Freedom Walk back in April 2006, which was a 3-week march from the United Nations building in New York City all the way to the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. Now, Manute's Sudan Freedom Walk is especially aimed at finding some sort of solution to the genocide in Darfur, which is in western Sudan, but it also sought to raise awareness of modern-day slavery as well as human rights abuses throughout Sudan. Finally, at number 1, Manute Bol actually started out playing soccer. Manute Bol might have been a big shot in the NBA, but at first, the athlete started out sports by playing soccer. In fact, Bol actively played until 1972, when he finally decided to quit because of his height, and then later as a teenager, he started playing basketball for teams in WOW and Khartoum. Then, in 1982, Don Feely visited Sudan to reign the country's national team, where he encouraged Bol to come back with him to the US to play, and even helped him to get a spot in Cleveland. He actually got drafted into the NBA in 1983, where he got drafted by the LA Clippers, but the NBA ruled him ineligible because of the late declaration. Later, Bol got drafted into the NBA in 1985, where he played for the Washington Bullets. And that's a wrap for this video. Did you know all these facts about Manute Bol? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.